What's up, my dudes? Today I'll be teaching you uses for roses. Now these are going to be for roses in general, so you can do different things for different colors, but this is just going to be for roses in general, and I'm going to be using red roses just because that's the amount that I have right now. But any color can do, so any color that you have, you can use any type of rose for. But if you use a certain rose for a certain color, then if you're trying to do a certain spell, then you can always just match the color to whatever type of spell you're doing. That will only help it. It's not going to hurt if you just use red roses for everything or just use black roses for everything. It's not going to hurt it. It just helps if you use a certain color for a certain thing. But again, I'm just going to be using red roses for this example just because that's the easiest to get, and I find that no matter what type of bouquet store that you go to, you can always find red roses, and you can usually find them at a discount too. Roses can be kept for a decent amount of time before you need to dry them, but if you're going to have roses, you should either have them drying or you should have them alive. You don't really need to store up a bunch of just rose petals. There's no real point in that. They're just going to rot, so it's better to use them or either dry them or not have them at all. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be using the rose petals. I'm not going to be using the thorns or anything. If you would like to know more about rose petals and about roses and like different things you can use for them, I'll do another video on that, but these are just going to be with the petals themselves. And I would also like to say, before you get any sort of petals and do anything, you want to make sure that it's natural. There's a lot of places that will color their roses and they will use an artificial dye. You don't want to be using that, because if you are going to be doing a few of these, you want it to be natural. So you want to make sure that it's either they're natural or that you don't use these on your body if they are artificial, because this can have an allergic reaction to some people, and it's not technically their fault because you're using their product for something that it wasn't intended to be, but you can still have a reaction to it. And number two, so I have a bag of roses here, and what you can do is just have these sitting out, and it can just, as they're drying out, if you leave it open, the smell from them will just waft into the room, and you can just have this be just smelling up your room like that. If you would like to infuse your roses with any type of essential oil, just put it in a paper bag like this, and all you have to do is just drop in a few drops, give it a shake, and then just leave this out. You have to, if you don't want your essential oils to evaporate, or if you don't want it to take as long, if you leave the top down, it will make sure that the essential oils don't evaporate, and it all just either goes into the bag or goes into the roses. You just have to give it a quick shake, make sure everything is infused into the rose petals, and then you can just clip it onto your wall or something. If you would like, you can also have these hanging just from the stems upside down, but I just have the petals, so that's the way that I'm going to be doing it. If you have the full stems, just hang them upside down. Just clip the stems so not as much moisture is getting back into the petals. You want the stem to be short, and then you just want to hang it upside down. Make sure that the petals can get a lot of air. If you have them in a closed space and they're just drying like that, they could rot, and you don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure there's airflow, make sure that it's actually drying and not just sitting there rotting off of the stem. And number three, so if you're a kitchen witch, you can also use this for any sort of kitchen spells that you're going to be doing. So if you wanted to make love sugar, or if you wanted to do a love potion or anything like that, you can use roses for this. You can either make it into a water, you can make it into an oil, you can make it into a tincture. You can make roses into a lot of different things that you would do with normal herbs, and this would just be good for attracting love and attracting any sort of positivity that you want towards you. I'm going to teach you how to make rose water. I feel like since I'm talking about roses, then everyone should know how to make it. It's not really that hard, and it's very simple, so I'm not going to make a whole video about it. But all you need is just some moon water. This is from the most recent new moon. I just keep it in a honey jar. And then you're going to need your roses. Now all you have to do is just take the roses, you want to wash them first just to make sure there's no dust or anything else on them. And then you want to put this in your moon water. You could either also boil this a little bit to make sort of a tea if you wanted, but if you just wanted to have the rose water in general, just have the roses in there and then just have them sift around a little bit, make sure everything gets coated, and then you want to heat it up. The longer you heat them up, the more tea-like it's going to be. So if you want it to be a very light rose water, you want to just heat it up for a smaller amount of time. But if you want it to be very saturated and you want to get all of the oils from the rose petals into your water, then you're going to heat it for longer. If you would like to do any sort of love potion or healing potions, then you can use rose petals for this. All you have to do is just have rose water in whatever you're doing, and that will just amplify the effects of it. If you would like to substitute any sort of herbs for roses in a love or healing spell, you can do that, because roses, they generally just radiate love. And number 4, so if you do any sort of offerings or gifts to any sort of deities, whether it be goddesses or spirits of the dead or anything else, if you would like to do any sort of offering, rose petals are a good offering. You don't have to necessarily just have the petals, you can have a full rose. I like to put mine in little satchels, kind of like tea bags, and then do my offerings like that. But if you don't necessarily want to go through that hassle, you can just have the full rose, or you can just crush the roses up, you can rip them. And number 5, if you would like to do any sort of beauty spell, whether that be making any sort of products for yourself, or you would just like to add a little bit of magic into your beauty routine, you can use roses to just help amplify that and attract. This can also be used to attract lovers to you if you use rose blush. I've never used rose blush, obviously, but if you would like to use rose blush for that, all you have to do is just grind it up and then put it on your face as normal blush. And number 6, so if you would like to use roses for any sort of decor, whether that be drying them out and having them as just glitter to go around your place, or if you would like to have them as an actual decoration, whether you use the stems or the petals, you can use roses for decoration, but it's also something that can be brought to you. So if you do any sort of spells with your rose petals and you just want to have those in your house, whether that be in a bowl or in a bag or just strung up around your place, you can have them done like this. That's the end of the video. If you would like to know anything else about witchcraft or witchcraft related content, just subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and post videos every week, and let me know in the comments what type of videos you would like to see. If you would like to know anything in particular to witchcraft, I can do a whole video on a certain subject if you want, but I just want to make sure that whatever I'm producing, that people want to know. So I want to know what my subscribers want me to be posting, so if you would like to know anything or have any suggestions for future videos, just put it in the comments below. And yeah, make sure to have a good day, night life. Enjoy yourself and be happy.